The Young Turks recently did a great segment on how to address the misinformation coming out of Fox News regarding this January 6th footage that they have exclusive access to. Here they are. I'm going to talk to you a little. I'm going to add a little bit onto the end, but let's let John Iadarola and company discuss.
The surveillance footage we reviewed shows that famous clip was a sham, edited deceptively by the January 6th committee. The clip was propaganda, not evidence.
They're referring, of course, to the clip of Josh Hawley fleeing for his life, as these other folks are, amid the riot that Fox is partially responsible for.
The actual videotape shows that Hawley was one of many lawmakers being ushered out of the building by Capitol Hill police officers.
Why were they being ushered out of the building? Why were they literally fleeing the building?
And in fact, Hawley was at the back of the pack. The coward tape was a lie, one of many from the January 6th committee.
That is one of the most amazing attempts at propaganda that I think I've ever seen.
Wait a minute. I don't think they talk about this. Let's go back just a little bit. Because they tried to cut the tape off. Look at the opposite side here.
Hack. The coward tape was a lie, one of many from the January 6th committee.
Whoops. You see that last bit they tried to cut out? Look at that last bit they tried to cut out before their end of their segment.
Hack. The coward tape was a lie, one of many from the January 6th committee.
You can even see him recycling the footage. Yeah, it appears he wasn't even at the back of the pack. There was indeed somebody else fleeing. That person reaching out and saying, oh, come here, we got to get you out of here. But TYT talks brilliantly. That aside, they talk brilliantly about what exactly that footage that they just showed again on air, what that means.
That is one of the most amazing attempts at propaganda that I think I've ever seen on American corporate media. So the coward tape is the tape that was played during the January 6th hearings of Josh Hawley running as fast as he can to get away from the mob that had attacked the Capitol. And that apparently hurt Tucker's feelings because he has to try to refute it. And he does that by just saying it was a lie over and over and over again. But I would ask you a question. Is that what he actually proved? Is that what he demonstrated? First of all, he says it's a lie because it wasn't just Hawley running away. It was a lot of lawmakers running away. Let me ask you a question. When it was presented before the January 6th committee, did anyone say or even imply that this should be embarrassing for Hawley because he's the only person that's running away? Nobody said that. We said that Hawley, who was all fist in the air, super strong beforehand, was running for his life. He still was running for his life. And I love that Tucker thinks that because he was at the back of the pack, he's pitching that as he's brave because he's taking up the rear. Dude was slower than the rest of the people running. I don't find that to be impressive or laudable at that point. And let me also say that if your overall point, which it is for Tucker, is that none of them should have been afraid, you're undercutting your point a little bit when you point out that not only was Josh Hawley afraid, but all of them were running for their life from the people who were apparently just taking selfies and all of that.
Okay, so if MAGA goes to you and tries to say Josh Hawley tape, it was all fake, just point that out. What was fake? It wasn't just Josh Hawley running. Lots of people were running. So see, the corporate media. They won't say corporate media. So see, the fake news lied to you about Josh Hawley. Nobody even suggested that he was the only one fleeing. In fact, the larger point was that people were fleeing, and that included Josh Hawley. In other words, it would be less bad if it had only been Josh Hawley that panicked and ran away. In fact, it was people being evacuated, and Josh Hawley was among them. And he literally was running for his life.
But all of them were running for their life, from the people who were apparently just taking selfies and all of that. So again, what he actually shows in this video does not prove his thesis at all. The issue is that he's showing it to his audience who just desperately wants to believe that simultaneously nothing bad was happening, but I guess also I need to believe that all of them were running away. But Hawley was last, so I guess he's brave, even though he was, again, running from the vicious mob that was calling for their blood. So again, Amara, for his
just want to be absolutely clear. Listen to all the contradictions you have to believe simultaneously about January 6th. If you are MAGA, listen to all the contradictions you need to hold simultaneously at one time in your head.
Wants to believe that simultaneously nothing bad was happening, but I guess also I need to believe that all of them were running away. But Hawley was last, so I guess he's brave, even though he was, again, running from the vicious mob that was calling for their blood. So again,
we can use that. Just point that out when you are talking to MAGA. I'm assuming that just based on the percentage of people that voted for Trump, we had what, 77 million? You probably know somebody who holds those contradictions in their head. They will be uncomfortable dwelling on that. They will try desperately to move the conversation to something else. Don't let them move on the conversation if you're having it. Don't let them move that conversation beyond that point until they're down to just one reality that they believe. Was it Antifa that stormed the Capitol? What? Where are they? Was the Capitol not stormed? Well, what about Antifa? You said Antifa was the one that stormed the Capitol. So was the Capitol not invaded? Was it not dangerous, or did Antifa do it? If it was anti-fascists, why is there no footage of anti-fascists? Why were none of the social media accounts that streamed it anti-fascist? Why were they all MAGA psychopaths? Was Josh Hawley in the back of the pack fleeing? If that's the case, why did they have to flee at all? What other election did they have to flee during? None. Keep it on there. Keep the conversation in an uncomfortable place, because it should only be uncomfortable for MAGA.
And Amara, for his audience, there's a lot of mental gymnastics that need to be done for this. But I'm sure that they will, in the end, agree with Tucker that the video, which again shows him running for his life, was somehow a lie.
Yeah, I mean, they'll believe whatever they want to believe, right? And he knows what his audience wants to believe, and he's going to give it to them. I mean, I personally though was impressed with Josh Hawley's running for him. I thought it was quite good. I don't know. Do we know? Is he an athlete or something? I was like, his back is straight, and his legs are out in front of him in a good stride. Yeah, I mean, it was
the core tight.
Quite impressive. Quite impressive.
100.
Also, bear in mind, the purpose of what Fox is doing is not really to get their audience to believe their version of events. They realize how contradictory it is. They realize they can't carry on a conversation holding these contradictions. The purpose is just to get them saying, all media lies, though. That is from the Fascist Playbook, folks. That is precisely, and this is not an exaggeration. It's not taking it too far to say this. That is precisely what the Nazis did. They just want their audience to say, you know what? But MSNBC lies. This is all lies. It's all you have to believe your truth. You have to have your personal truth. That kind of nonsense. There is no such thing as your truth or my truth. There is the truth and everything else. That's it. There are the facts and nothing else. Do not let them get away with that. Don't let them get away with just saying, but you have to take it all with a grain of salt. No. you're recommending, MAGA psychopaths, you're recommending that we do drastic things, very un-American things, like, for example, shutting down prosecutors, prosecuting corrupt politicians. And you're doing it based off of lies. You have to be firm in that when you are talking with these people.
So here's where things are going to turn a little bit dark. We had a little bit of fun with the coward video and everything, but that very meek mob of tourists, okay, they revere the Capitol. They're not doing anything bad, despite him repeatedly showing the footage of them doing really bad things. Can I throw out a few inconvenient facts about that, as Amara has said, a bridge group of your grandmas who are just trying to take photos with the paintings and all that? Does anyone remember 4 people in the crowd died? Those very meek, orderly tourists, 4 people died. And I'm gonna point this out in case maybe you haven't been on these tours before or whatever. That's not normally what happens when you tour the Capitol, that 4 people die in the crowd. And by the way, only one of them, Ashley Babbitt, was shot by a Capitol police officer as they were trying to break through the barricade to get to. There are security officers with drawn guns, and the crowd is so bloodthirsty that they're trying to get at the people pointing guns at them. Again, very, very meek people. Kevin Grierson died of a heart attack. Roseanne Boyland appeared to have been crushed in a stampede of fellow meek rioters. Benjamin Phillips died of a stroke. He was the founder of a pro-Trump website called Trumparoo, but everything was so meek and orderly.
Worth pointing out, Roseanne Boyland appeared to be on methamphetamines of some point, of some kind, I should say, during that riot. I would ask MAGA folks what they think about those deaths, because they do tend to ignore them. Don't spare them the discomfort of this conversation. I will say it again and again. Don't spare them. Also, bear in mind, on this stream, it was pointed out, what will Tucker Carlson do? He will take the most innocent clips of police leading around January 6th people, directing them where to go, and he will pretend as though the police told the January 6th rioters that they were welcome. That is not true. That is simply not true. And if you would like to rebut that, be sure to show them there's tons and tons of footage. It is all over the internet. The crowd literally fighting police officers who are literally swinging fists and clubs trying to stop them from getting inside. How kind the police were once they had been defeated and they were on a retreat. Our police, our Capitol Police, were retreating from the crowd, were defeated by the crowd, failed to stop the crowd, not because they weren't brave, but because there was a ludicrous amount of MAGA rioters there. There was 10,000 there. And they were pathetically understaffed by design. Point that out. Make them live in that reality for the conversation.
That people were having strokes and heart attacks all over the place. Of course, you also have 5 police officers who died in the weeks and months following it. Brian Sicknick was attacked by the mob. He died. Jeffrey Smith killed himself after the attack because it was so traumatic what he went through. Howard Liebengood as well. 150 police officers, who Republicans occasionally like to pretend that they back in some fashion, were injured, had to be hospitalized. Hundreds of workers at the Capitol were also attacked or traumatized by the mob. The mob, who was they were just tourists. They were just meek tourists queuing up for selfies and maybe beating into the hospital dozens and dozens of cops.
It's pretty simple what you can do about this. It's in fact going to be fun. If you find yourself in a conversation with MAGA folks, just ask them uncomfortable questions about their propaganda, the propaganda itself. and let them squirm. Don't help them out in any social ways. Don't, when there is silence, when they're stuttering, don't offer something that might be helpful to them. Just ask them, why were legislators running? Why were they literally running in that clip Tucker Carlson showed you? For most of them, by the way, for a lot of them, this will be some of the first January 6th footage they saw. Did you hear what Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, by the way, I used to say that name wrong, Midas Touch corrected me, thank you, Laura Ingraham and Rupert Murdoch said about you? Do you know how many people died during the riot? During the riot, it's 4. Because of the riot, in some way, it's 7. That includes the suicides. God help us. Ask him those questions because they will have trouble answering them.